I wish that Craig had spent some time wowing you about the other things, because he's right. Serving as the commissioner over Department of Children's Services is probably one of the biggest honors I've had in my career. Not the easiest job by any stretch of the imagination, as you can only imagine. As of today, this morning, we have 8,996 children in state custody. 8,996. How many people are in this room right now, do we know? So 150 people in the room right now. How many times would we have to replicate this room to reach 8,996 children? And of those 8,996 children, we have 896 groups, sibling groups of 3 or more children. And I stress the sibling groups because foster care is what I'm going to talk about today. And we struggle with finding placements for sibling groups and for teenagers. And do you know that we have 3,277 teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17 today? Each of those children deserve what many of us had given to us through nothing that we did. They deserve care, they deserve love, they deserve a roof over their heads, they deserve a great education and medical care, and they deserve people that will support them regardless of the challenges that they bring with them. I am so happy that Governor Lee has decided and proclaimed that he wants to make this state the most foster and adoption-friendly state in the union. And because of that, he has included a number of things in his budget that I want you to know about. You know, this budget hasn't been voted on, it hasn't been approved, but these items made it into his budget. And I want to tell you about some of them, and then I want to tell you just a couple of quick stories about children that would be affected by these. So, how does this sound? Extension of foster care. $5.4 million more. This program would extend our current program that serves kids 18 to 21 that are in a secondary education program or a program that leads to sort of like credentials, or in a TCAT program, or kids that same age who are unable to do those things because of their own special needs. This program would extend that to include youth that are employed for 80 hours a month or who are engaged in some sort of a vocational program that will remove or reduce barriers to employment. We know that college isn't for every kid, and this $5.4 million, if it's approved, will go a long way towards supporting these youth when they exit foster care. In 2021, we served 782 kids in that program. This extension would likely increase that number by over 400 kids a year. So let's hope that that one's approved. The relative caregiver program. We currently have a relative caregiver program. Governor Lee has put $32 million extra into this program. It currently, Currently, our program serves relative caregivers with case management, counseling, and some physical needs. This program will, for the first time, provide a financial stipend to relative caregivers. So thank you for that. In addition, child care vouchers, a $15 million request. Currently, DCS foster parents receive child care vouchers through the Department of Human Services. This $15 million would expand that to include all foster kids, whether it's a provider home or a DCS home. And in addition to that, child care vouchers for any child who has been in foster care and has been adopted. You see why I wanted to talk about budget. You're the perfect group to talk about these budgets. Other people just stare at me, but y'all get it. I mean, these are huge. Expedited placement rates. You all know about expedited placements for kinship placements. $983,000 to increase the rate that we give on expedited placements. And you know, the hope being to reduce the discrepancy between the board rates that we pay approved foster homes and the kinship placements that are going through that process. So that's another great one. And here's another big one. We can't do this without our providers. Cannot do this, cannot serve the 8,996 kids in state custody without our providers. So we have asked for, and it's in the budget, for a $32 million increase for our providers. It equates to a 10% increase across the board, but we will work with the providers if this is approved to make sure that that money goes to the levels of service that we have the greatest need for. And we have, we worked with them last year. I have given my word, and I promise you that word is worth something, that we're going to work with the providers if this is approved to make sure that the plan we come up with is one that they are also pleased with. And finally, before I move on, because I'm 8 minutes and I've got 2 more minutes, cost of living increase for our foster care, subsidized permanent guardianship, and adoption assistance. As you know, that's based on the cost, according to the USDA, of raising a child in the Southeast, and so there will also be an increase in that regard. I want to tell you about 3 kids that would have benefited from these increases. You know, one is a JJ kid. You know, we have children that are hours old that are drug exposed, and we have 18.5-year-olds that are in hardware secure facilities for committing crimes that were they adults when they committed them, probably would have been in prison for the rest of their life. Those kids, many of them they're in foster care too. So let me tell you about a youth that we're so pleased with. This kid entered into custody as a DNN kid. He was joyriding at over 100 miles an hour, and his mother wouldn't let him come home after that, and he entered custody as a result of that. And he was placed in a congregate facility, a good one. He ran away from that place. He stole a car, and he broke into someone's house. You know whose house he broke into? Please guess. No, Mama's. His mama's. He went home. But that led to car theft charges and burglary charges. So now he's a JJ kid. Entered into custody, DNN, now he's a JJ kid. And he got a determinate sentence, which means he would stay with us till he was 19. So this kid has gotten in there, worked his program, received his high school diploma. He stepped down from the most secure level of placement to another one that helped him get a job. He has saved $12,000. The judge is looking to release him early. He's done so well. So, I'll tell you about another one. A young lady who was in our foster system for years and years, aged out of foster care, we hate that word, but asked to stay in extended foster care. She was not accepted by her family. She suffered from depression and near homelessness, couldn't go back there. So she asked to stay in extended foster care. She went to Nashville State for a while, but then transferred to a master barbering program. She graduated from that. She's gotten her license. She has a full book of clientele. She has her own apartment. She is now aged out of extended foster care. and stays in touch with us because she wants to give free haircuts to kids that are in foster care. Why? Because, bless her heart, she says it's something she would have liked to have had when she was in foster care. This is the kind of kid that needs us, and they still need us when they're 18 and they're 19 and they're 20 and they're 21. And finally, a feel-good one, okay? There's a couple in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, who had been, and this story was shared to me by Kristen Allender, who is our Tennessee Kids Belong director, and shared this with us yesterday. This couple was thinking about fostering the way people do, just thinking about it. But one day they actually Googled, can we really foster? And what popped up was a virtual webinar from Tennessee Kids Belong. And they watched it and had stories, all different kinds of stories from different foster parents. And one story had a young lady who was zooming into the panel from her dorm room at UT and saying, and she had been adopted at 17, and her point was how much we need people willing to take in teenagers as foster kids. And this couple watching this decided, if this little girl is taking time out from her college life to zoom in and talk to us, then we're going to do it. And they signed up for Tennessee Key classes that night. Fostered over the next year, fostered 4 different children, all of whom were reunited with their families. Then they go back to TKB and they watch a video of one of our kids, one of DCS's children, kids saying, I need a home, I want a home. And something about that particular video just touched their hearts. They inquired about that child. Child was placed in their home, and the adoption papers were signed yesterday. So thank you for listening to me. And before I step down, I have an ask of you, because it wasn't something that we could put in a budget. We currently have 4,850 foster homes in this state. 2,300 of them are provider homes, 2,550 of them are DCS. And I am sad to say that number is 300 less. The overall number is 300 less than it was 3 years ago. We need foster homes. And you know, of the foster homes we have, I don't want to end being Debbie Downer, over 1,000 of them have no placement right now in their homes for different reasons. So that said, my ask is, you are the voices that can reach the most people. And I am begging you to think of groups of people, contacts, friends, somebody that you can turn into that couple in Oak Ridge who just thought about it and have ended up, a child has a forever home that wouldn't otherwise have one. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate what you do.